What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Saving Men's Lives Network. Today, fellas, I want to talk to you about if you've been paying attention, the all-out assault that's happening on the Passport Bros movement. This is not an accident. This is not random. This is not a fluke. This is a well-coordinated, well-financed attack on regular men like you and I, who've hurt nobody, who've done no wrong and intend to not do anything wrong. Because of what this movement means in the long term, and why different entities cannot allow this movement to truly gain the momentum that it easily can. Take the Western governments, for example. If I remember correctly, over in Sweden, the feminists who live over there are so terrified of being displaced and rendered obsolete that they've tried to introduce legislation to make it illegal for Swedish men to import and marry Thai brides, because these women are better quality and have not been ruined by feminism. Rather than compete, they want to use the government as their baseball bat and their loaded gun. It's a pretty extreme case, to be sure. But looking here, I live here in America. Here in the States, you've got governments who are reliant upon the net taxpayers, which are men. Try as a man to apply for Section 8 housing, welfare, food stamps, TANF, WIC, SNAP, or any of the other local, state, and or federal taxpayer-funded vote-buying programs designed from scratch to protect women and teenage girls from the consequences of their actions and the valuable lessons those consequences would teach them. Governments know that women, just like fire, are consumers. Very rarely do they produce anything. Fire, for example, destroys. But when pine cones are exposed to a forest fire that's already destroyed thousands of acres, that fire releases the seeds contained within it to replenish the forest. Circle of life type shit. Death and rebirth. So yeah, fire can be constructive, and sometimes women do start their own businesses and become self-reliant economically. That does happen. It has happened. I'm sure it continue to happen in the future. But for the most part, governments know that women are a bill, and they don't want to pay that bill. They'd rather men who are productive paid that bill in the form of dating them, in the form of cohabiting with them, in the form of paying them child support and alimony and other types of government-enforced extortion. It's a whole lot easier when that money's not coming out of your pocket as a governmental entity. So they cannot allow this movement to gain momentum. They can't allow men who have the skills that's needed to, number one, build the infrastructure, number two, maintain the infrastructure, to take their talent and their work ethic and take it to a third world country and build that place up. They can't allow that, because what's left behind won't be maintained by the women. Women don't want dirty jobs. They want high-paying jobs that give them status and keep them in the air conditioning. Then there's the media, such as it is, especially the obsolete alphabet soup media, you know, CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, MSNBC, so forth and so on. The New York Times, all these antique media sources dominated by leftist thinking, dominated by woke thinking. These people will not tolerate any attacks on the gynocracy, because the media are the shock troops of the gynocracy. The men bad, women perfect worldview that they spit out every day can't be allowed to be interrupted. So Western men who attempt to escape the matrix have to be shamed. They have to be slandered. They have to have their character destroyed. Because the media, social and otherwise, all coordinate an across-the-board smear campaign by assigning sinister intentions to good men with benevolent goals. You have panderers who I'm sure qualify and would identify themselves as male feminists out here leading the charge, telling Western women exactly what they want to hear in hopes for a pat on the head and a touch on their little pee-pees. It's embarrassing and it's shameful. And the women who advertisers overwhelmingly target with commercials substantially overvalue themselves while realizing at the exact same time, even though they never admit it, that they are inferior to foreign women, especially in the categories that matter most to men. Western women enjoy taking pride in things that men couldn't be paid to give a damn about. Not to mention the education cartel, the pipeline of public schools into these colleges and universities, which have become extraordinarily hostile places to men and boys, where the education style itself is geared towards a female's way of learning. Women have no problem sitting there and just being spoken to all day lecture style. That works for most women. But most boys and the men they will grow up to be are very tactile, get their hands dirty style learners. It's no accident that school boards across the country for decades now have been taking away shop classes, auto shop, wood shop, taking away things like labs and, turning PE or recess, or whatever you call it where you're from, into something they just do when they get around to it. There's no accident for this. By removing from men the things that we learn best by, it gives the women an unfair advantage. It's not an accident that colleges today in the 21st century are predominantly populated by women. Over 60% the last time I checked. And yet they still have women-only scholarships, and they still have women-only college grants that men can't apply for. Once upon a time, the con game was we need to give women these perks and these special privileges because there's not enough of them in college now. So what's the excuse? Now that they are over half of the student body, over half of the faculty. The simple truth of the matter is, public schools and the colleges that most people go after they finish it are filled with people who are woke, leftist, and of the feminist programming mindset. Section 8, no means no. All these, or yes means yes rather, all these different things make even being there as a man a complete waste of your time in most cases. When men have had enough, when men take inventory and they look around at the world that they live in, the society that they pay for and keep from falling apart, and they're told every day, multiple times a day, in commercials, in so-called music videos, that they're nothing, that they're toxic, that they're unwanted and unneeded. They don't have enough swag. They don't make enough money. They're this, they're that. Everything negative. You can only kick a dog while he's down so many times before he bites your foot off. But many men have chosen not to go the violent path. They've chosen to do what UFC fighters do when they get themselves caught in a nasty submission and they've tapped out. Okay, ladies, you're so strong, you're so independent. Cool. Here are the keys. You got this. Wait, where you going? Don't worry about it. You don't need me, remember? You don't want me, remember? I'm gonna go over there, wherever there might be, where the women are far better behaved and in way better shape. Women who give us a return on the time, the money, the energy and attention that we expend. We're going over there, and we're taking our attention and our money with us. And now all of a sudden, this coordinated effort on behalf of corporate media, on behalf of corporations themselves, on behalf of westernized governments, they're doing everything they can to besmirch these good men who've never committed a crime in their lives and who would never, because it's not who they are. Oh, sure, there's got to be some guy out there who's going to do something very bad, and the necessity of a black swan event is going to say that they're going to use that guy and paint him as the face of the entire Passport Bros movement. You see, they are going over there to do XYZ criminal action, when the vast majority would never take part in it. When the vast majority simply want what their great-grandfather had. Simply want what their grandfather had. And had every right to want. Because that's the way humans have been since the very beginning. Until about 100 years ago. Where vaginal Marxism, hiding behind the nickname of feminism, ruined Western women for Western men. And themselves. Men, you hold your head up high because you've earned the opportunity to do so. If you're a good man from a good family and you've never hurt anyone and never would, if you get out here and you work your ass off day in and day out trying to be a contributing member of society, if all you've ever wanted to do for you guys who still seek after relationships is be good to a woman in the hopes she might return the favor more often than she doesn't, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is highly unlikely you're going to find that woman here. Now, for those of you who have a metal detector and you want to find a needle in a haystack, for those of you guys who love searching through couch cushions for change, for those guys who love flipping rocks over to see what's underneath of them, good luck to you. Good luck to you. And I wish you well if you do find her. But for the rest of us who don't have that kind of time and who lack that kind of patience, my advice to you fellas is to get your asses to that airport after visiting your local post office. Get your passports in hand. Get your vaccinations. If you have the money, buy Rosetta Stone or some other highly esteemed, well-rated language software and learn as best you can, at least conversationally. At least learn a conversational level of mastery of the language of the country you intend to go to. Pack your things. Throw up the deuces. And say sayonara. Arrivederci. Your life's in your own hands, gentlemen. And you do not need to waste 1 second of your time and not 1 cent of your money on Western women who, in their mind, they've convinced themselves they're better than you. There's no evidence for this, but they believe it. With that said, that's my time. Like the video, comment down below. Share with a friend and subscribe to the channel. Never let your brother suffer in silence when the truth can set him free. Networkers, we working. Till next time.